Hey Mayhood, if you're just listening to this is Seth Kermode, and this is for the midterm. I'm going to start out by doing, for Modern Philosophy 311, sorry, I'm going to start out by doing question number 1, what is going on in the Cogito passage? And to give some context here, Descartes has come to the conclusion, more or less, that nothing is in existence. He's decided to systematically doubt everything, so he's gotten himself into that cycle of infinite doubt. And since we can't trust our perceptions, our senses, any of it, we've come to the conclusion that nothing exists. But then comes the Cogito passage, and he has to find something to prove his existence, or else this philosophy is sort of nothing. So what he does here is he not only defines it, but he also finds it. And we've got a quote here in Tlmoc on page 22. I have convinced myself that there is absolutely nothing in the world. Does it not follow, too, then, that I do not exist? No, if I convinced myself of something, or thought anything at all, then I certainly existed. So he's not only figured out a way around non-existence, he's also defined what it means to exist, and that is to think. He goes in on the next page too. Hold on, lost it. Summing it up, so after considering everything very thoroughly, I must finally conclude that this proposition, I exist, is necessarily true whenever it is put forward by me or conceived in my mind. Now, I can sort of, at the beginning of his argument, say he's reaching for straws, but I tend to give in. He does prove that he exists if he thinks, but that is all he can prove. He cannot prove anything other than that. So, and we've already discussed that in class, how only Descartes is. But that has nothing to do with Spinoza. For Spinoza's question, I picked number 5. How does Spinoza distinguish between modes, attributes, substance? Give a definition and illustrate blah 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 their relationships. Well, for Spinoza, substance is God or nature, and it makes up everything. He doesn't really declare what it is so much as and Tlmoc also gives a pretty good definition of it. I've found it. The self-contained, self-sustaining, self-explanatory system which constitutes the world, that the system properly may be understood in different ways as God or nature, as mind or matter, as creator or created. So, substance is self-contained, the matter of the universe that makes up everything. It is self-created, and it is God. And also, God doesn't have emotions or anything, but that allows him to be omnibenevolent, omnipresent, omnipotent. Attributes are things that are attributed to God. That's not a good definition. But Tlmoc does have a definition for it too, if you give me a second to find it. Oh, and the previous quote was off of page 77. An attribute is, it's an extension, or more strictly that's the attribute of extension, sorry. An attribute is, I can't find the quote, I should have underlined it. An attribute is just that, an attribute of the substance, and there are many it's a quality of God, basically. There, I found the word. It's a quality of God, and there are many attributes to God. It's a quality of substance. And if my phone will focus in here, I've got the flow chart you have in class. I can think of another way to put it up here. But we've got the two attributes that are known for Spinoza, and that's extension and thought. And the attribute of thought is the mental part of it, thinking, the design, the mental faculties, intelligence, all of that stuff. And extension is basically the laws of motion and physics and math. And he also assumes that there are other attributes that we don't know of that we can't even comprehend. And finally, modes are just that, modes of substance. They are things that are forms of substance or of God or nature, however you want to call it. So a rock is a mode, a person is a mode, a bear is a mode. It's like the Niagara thing. The drop of water is a part of the Niagara Falls. It's a mode of it, but it's not the Niagara Falls. It's encompassed in the Niagara Falls. And for the last question, I decided to do number 10. There it is. What is the challenge of necessitarianism? And I couldn't find anything in either of the books, although I looked a bit extensively. I know they're there, I just could not remember what pages they're on. But I did find the thing that reminded me of it in one of your PowerPoints, and that's the problem of freedom. And so you give the conundrum, Christian freely asks Andrea to marry him, and she freely says yes. But it is a specific part of the monad of Christian, and it is absolutely necessary to both Christian and Andrea that Christian not only asks to marry Andrea, but that she also says yes. So how are they free? And his best reply to this probably would be that you said it in class. I'm trying to remember how you said it. You said that it's a difference in time, that freedom to him is understanding your role, as the enlightenment of understanding your role and placing yourself in it. So there's two definitions of freedoms that we're talking about, and if he's going to define that as freedom, I can't really argue with it, but that's not freedom. It's two different understandings of the same word, and I find his definition to be wrong, so I can't really be convinced by it, or I understand where he's coming from, but it's not going to sway me. That's it.